Last time we were taking a look in section 4.2, we were doing sums and sigma notation. And I believe that the problem we left off on was number 2. Does that sound right? We have one left. Okay. All right, let's just take a look briefly at problem number 2. The summation rules. So what we did in this problem is we tried to break it apart into simpler pieces so that we could use the summation rules or properties that we had 1 through 5 previously given to us. But in particular, we really like these 1, 2, and 3. Those are really helpful. And then 4 and 5 just allow us to separate things apart. So we separated apart the 5i minus 4 by pulling the 5 out in front. I stays inside. And then there's subtractions. There's a subtraction of our summation symbols. And then we have our 4 listed afterwards. We also talked about at the end here, what would we do if we had not started at I equal 1? What if it started at I equal 3? And we talked about the fact that if that happened, we would have to subtract off the first and the second a sub 1, a sub 2, those values, in order to make that work. So that leads us right into where we're going to be on this particular problem. This is pulled straight out of your textbook, and so I left it the way that they did it on purpose, but it might bother you to see the ends in there. It bothers me a little bit to see the ends in there because they use n for something else in all of their definitions. They use it as representing that top value. So what I'm going to suggest is to change that to some other letter, i's or j's. Your book uses i's on everything else, so I'm going to use i's on mine as well. So I'm going to write an I here, an I here, and an I here at the get-go because I feel like that the notation that they're using uses n in more than one way, and it makes it just unnecessarily cumbersome. It's not necessary there at all. All right, so the first thing I'd like for us to do is I'd like for us to distribute out what we have inside. So this is now going from I equal 4 to 140. And I have I squared minus I. Does that look okay? All right, so tell me something you notice about this that we talked about last time that we're going to have to use. Yep, right here at the bottom, I need that I equal 4 to say I equal 1. But I can't just go changing things because that, changes what's in my function. So I need to take off something when I do that. What will I have to take off? A1, A2, and A3 on this one. All right, what are we going to do with the first pieces then? How am I going to change the summation from I equal 1 to 140 of I squared minus I? I'm going to separate them. What's the first one going to look like, Alexa? What's it going to, well, first of all, what's it going to have in this step? We'll do that step in a minute. I know you said look at that. What is this first step? I squared. And then the other piece, we'll just have I, right? This one's actually really clean because it doesn't even have any coefficients to pull out. And trust me, we'll get the A1, A2, A3 eventually. For now, I'm just going to leave them there. Okay, so flip back then, page before, and you've got some properties. They tell you what you're going to do in order to find the summation from I equal 1 to 140 of I squared. What are you going to have to do? Okay, and n equals the 140 in our case, right, Allison? Yeah. So we're going to have 140 times, it's 141, right? Times 2 times n plus 1. So what's 2 times 140 plus 1? 281. And all of this is divided by what value? 6. And that is just this part, right? Those pieces go together. All right, let's do the second piece. What is the second piece going to be? It's just the summation of I. 140, right? N times, so 140 times. It's times n plus 1. 141, right? Okay, good. And then what does this one be divided by? 2. So this is this piece. And then how am I going to find out what is A1, what is A2, what is A3? There's a typo on my screen even. Let me fix it. Okay, where are we going to plug that in? Yeah, the original function, right? So we're going to plug the numbers 1, 2, and 3 into this function. I'll just write them up here. What happens when we plug in 1? You get 0. Yeah. What happens when I plug in 2? Okay, I've heard negative something and I've heard 3. You just get a 2, right? So 2 squared is 4 minus the 2, so we should get 2. And then how about A3? 6, because you're going to have 9 minus the 3. So these values at the end technically are minus 0. I know that doesn't seem very helpful, but we'll write it in. And then minus 2 and then minus 6. Is everybody good with that? Takes off just a little bit at the end. All right, everything else is just a calculator exercise. You've got multiplication, you've got division, you've got addition, you've got subtraction. Let's see, the first value that I have written down for the part in orange was 924,490. Is that what you guys get? Okay, good. What's the next one you guys got? 9,870, and then the 3 at the end are actually just the same as minus 8. So what happens when we take the first one and subtract off the second two? I'm sorry, I meant all of it, with the part at the beginning and the next two, both of them. That doesn't sound quite large enough. I think we're still going to have 900 and something thousand. 914,612. There's probably just a number missing in your calculator when you entered it, Fernando. 914,612. Okay, any questions on that one? All right.